Hi everyone. I wanted to read another little extract from The Reason to Write. This one is about my life and times in East Africa when I was in my early 20s. I got to know an extraordinary man called Amin, who had lost his left arm in the fall of Addis Ababa in 1991, and he had a publishing company. And by chance, although I had pretty much fallen out with him, by chance one day I was in Nairobi and I thought I'd pay him a visit. One Sunday afternoon I found myself in Nairobi. I'd been up in Samburu land again on the trail of an English woman called Cheryl Lekemenju, who had married a Samburu warrior. With a few hours to spare before my flight home, I picked up the phone and called Mohammed Amin, on his hotline, the one he reserved for heads of state. 10 minutes later, I was sitting on the dining chair in his office once again. "What's all that frigging crap about scrapping frigging metal?" Mo thundered. That's about a journey we had in Namibia. Tetley had to chop it all out. He rewrote it, line by line. "Of course he did," I said. "He gets paid to. Paid in Somali passports and zigzag flights." "Some people would kill for a Somali passport," Mo said. Mohammed Amin dealt in a currency of his own, which was flights on Ethiopian Airlines and Somali passports mostly. "Would they?" I replied. "Yes, they would." "I'll bear that in mind." Mohammed Amin leaned back on his tin pot dictator's chair. "So what's next?" he asked. "I'm going to London to file my story." Not that. Then what? What's next for us, you and me?" I let out a high-pitched giggle, crossed with a scream. "Oh no, there is no next." "Got a problem with the colour of my money," Mo said. "Your money doesn't have a colour, Mohammed, because it's invisible," I replied. "Do you want to go to Mecca with me? Full access?" he asked. The holy city had been at the top of my wish list ever since I'd learned to read and read my father's classic, Destination Mecca. I narrowed my eyes. "What are you offering?" "Flights on Ethiopian Airlines and Air Seychelles," he replied. "What else?" "A diplomatic Somali passport and a tour of Swaziland." "I hate tours," I said. "All right," Mo bristled, bringing out the big guns. "I'll give you breakfast with Idi Amin." For me, as a former student of African dictatorships, the Holy Grail was meeting the deposed cannibalistic ruler of Uganda, the self-styled King of Scotland. Mo's family may have been originally from the Indian subcontinent, but the fact that he shared a last name with one of the greatest dictators in African history had enabled him to acquire rare and unparalleled access Mohammed Amin exploited shamelessly. We shook hands and I forgave him for expunging Henny Van Wyck, a friend of mine at the time, from literary history and for allowing his hack Brian Tetley to butcher my work. The Mecca trip was scheduled for the next month, followed by breakfast with Idi Amin, who was enjoying sanctuary nearby in Jeddah. Returning to London, I got on with my journalism. 3 weeks later, I was woken early on a Saturday morning by my sister, Syra. Our father was dead. It was a call that pressed pause on my life and an event which I've never really quite recovered from. That afternoon, something prompted me to turn on the TV news. An Ethiopian Airlines flight number ET961 from Addis Ababa to Nairobi had been hijacked. As fate would have it, Mohammed Amin and his sidekick, Brian Tetley, were on board. Mo was up front in first class, while Tetley was at the back in economy. Apparently drunk and armed with grenades, the hijackers had ordered the pilot to fly them to Australia. They'd selected the destination from the map in the in-flight magazine, Salamta, of which Mo was the publisher. The hijackers had ordered the pilot to stop following the African coastline and to cross the Indian Ocean. As the plane neared the pristine beaches of the Comoros Islands, it ran out of fuel. A wingtip brushed the water and flight ET-961 disintegrated. Amazingly, a few passengers at the back of the aircraft survived. Brian Tetley, the great Fleet Street hack, was not one of them. As for Amin, he'd been desperately negotiating with the hijackers until the moment the plane hit the water. He had once again been on top of the biggest news story in the world. On that bewitched day in late 1996, I lost my father, Amin, and all hope of ever having breakfast with Idi Amin. The reason to write.